Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck where science meets investment and I'm your host Raj. Friends, this is the Saturday editorial, it's the weekend editorial, it's slightly different. It's not just about the market, it's also about life, society and the world we are all part of. This message has been forming in my mind for a while. And yesterday as the markets closed and I prepared for my and also earlier during the day when I prepared for my pre-market live stream, it all crystallized together. It took me a while to put it all into paper. And let me take you through my thoughts, which is relevant to you as well as a retail investor. Well, friends, at best, we live for 100 years. We arrive with nothing and we leave with nothing. In between, we work. Some might say hustle to meet our physical needs. We build careers, start businesses, invest, save, all of it just to survive, and if we are lucky, to thrive. But is this what life was meant to be? A constant sprint for necessities, for status, for survival? According to the World Bank, the global average life expectancy is about 73 years as of 2022. In developed countries, it's closer to 80 years, but only a fraction of people live to 100. Mankind doesn't start out this way. We were once animals, among many. But our ability to communicate, to share knowledge, and to pass wisdom across generations gave us something extraordinary. Our ability to band together as tribes gave us something extraordinary, which put us at the top of the biological food chain. Anthropologists note that the development of language and culture allowed Homo sapiens to cooperate in large groups, outcompeting other species, and even our other human ancestors, like the Neanderthals. So I ask, if we can band together to survive and evolve as a species, why can't we now band together to enjoy life more equitably? The system we built and then forgot after World War II, the world understood the true cost of a divided multipolar global system. The price was paid in blood, in broken families, and in economic ruin. So we built something new, a cooperative global order anchored on the US dollar, on free trade, and on US leadership. It wasn't perfect, but it ushered in an era of stability and shared growth. Friends, we were in an era where countries were forced to increase their defense spending to 3% and to 5%, and that seemed like a big ordeal. Before that, most of the budget for a country used to go in defense. So that was a big improvement because all the money that was saved and not going into defense was put into the betterment of mankind. The Bretton Woods Agreement 1944 established the IMF, World Bank, and made the US dollar the world's reserve currency. This system underpinned global growth for decades. Over time, however, that system eroded. Democracy, instead of being a check on power, became a conduit for corporate influence. Lobbyists gained ground. Politicians started answering to corporations instead of people. According to Open Secrets, US lobbying spending reached $4.1 billion in 2023, and the number of registered lobbyists has steadily increased since 1970. Prosperity? It wasn't shared. Productivity soared, but wages stagnated. The richest grew vastly rich. Workers, despite doing more, creating more productivity, saw less real wage increase. Since 1979, US worker productivity has increased by 64%, but hourly pay has only grown by 17.5%. This comes from Economic Policy Institute in 2023. Meanwhile, the top 1% now owns more than 30% of US wealth, according to Federal Reserve. Social media promised connection. The gig economy promised freedom, but in practice, both created a more impersonal world. One where workers are numbers in an algorithm. Corporations moved away from defined benefit pensions. Workers were paid in company stock. Cheap capital for the firm added personal risk for the employee. Your retirement was now tied to your employer's share price. Your livelihood and your future riding on the same wave. In 1980, about 60% of private sector workers in the US had defined benefit pension plans. By 2023, that number had fallen down below 15%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There was once a social contract: work hard, retire with dignity. That contract has been shredded. And the new global uncertainty arrives today. We find ourselves at a crossroads. The President of the United States rejects the post-war system of cooperation and multilateralism. Instead, it's America alone. This has triggered a wave of tariff, weaponized trade policy that's disrupted millions of lives globally. This uncertainty it creates is felt by everyone, from factory workers in Ohio to retirees in Europe and to investors everywhere. Since 2018, US and China have imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars in goods. The Peterson Institute for International Economics estimates these tariffs cost the average American household $800 a year in higher prices. Tariff wars aren't just about goods. They ripple through entire economies. They derail retirement plans. They reshape where and how companies invest. And this brings us to the markets. Today's equity market feels very different. Company fundamentals, well, increasingly irrelevant. Macro events, politics, tweets, and speculative flows dominate. Retail investors, who are actually the workers and retirees, trying to preserve or grow the wealth that they saved from their salary, face a tilted playing field. Consumer protection agencies are being disbanded. Banking regulations are being rolled back. For example, the rollback of Dodd-Frank regulation in 2018 reduced oversight on mid-sized banks, with some catalysts saying that it contributed to 2023 regional banking crisis. The system that once promised fairness is openly fragile. And for the first time in history, retail investors must navigate a market where corporate control of government policy is normalized and there is no backstop for small investors. Company stock forms both employment compensation and personal savings. That is unprecedented. Let me be clear. I'm not here to scare everyone. I'm not pushing doom and gloom, but I'm just connecting the dots. These events are already in the headlines. I'm just simply putting them together in a way that shows how interconnected it all is and why it should matter to us as a retail investor. I'd love to know what you guys think. Is this your lived experience too? Are your financial choices being constrained by this environment? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them. And now I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day, and I hope you do too. It's a hard-earned weekend, so have a good time. Well friends, that brings me to an end of this video. Bye for now.